Hey everybody, welcome back live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Hope you're all doing well. Very excited for our show today. Here we have our February. I think my first time in probably, has it been a year, Richie Eaton, since I've had you on? It's been a long time.
Yeah,
it's probably the longest stretch we've ever gone.
Yeah, we've done more often.
Mr. Newburyport himself, Richie Eaton, joining us, and he joins us on the show here. He's back from Florida for this little stint because it is the Newburyport Bank Ice Hockey Tournament going on at the Graf Rink in Newburyport right now. It is always a great take. It's been another great take this time around, and we actually have hockey games going on right now, Richie, as we speak.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, 1, 3, 5, and 7 today, and then 1, 3, 5, and 7 tomorrow.
Okay.
And that'll end up. We played Sunday and Monday. There were 4 games each day too.
So the Wednesday finish means how many days of hockey in a row was it?
4 days in a row, 4 games each day.
Wow.
I'm usually out the rink from 12:30 to 9.
You're spending the whole day there, man.
Yeah. I end up usually doing I do one of the games each week for cable, both the Newburyport boys and girls. So that's one each day.
Okay.
And then I'm usually doing the PA if I'm not doing that most of the time. Dan Levitt has been able to do some now, so I got to break a couple of games when he comes back. So he'll do some of them.
Does somebody bring you dinner? Are you able to skip out or what?
No, we have food prepared for us. The person who sells the tickets, ever since we've been doing it, brings a meal for us. We had beef stew and chicken pot pie first day with some cookies and whippy pies.
All right.
And something else the next day we had, and tonight is some kind of a chili or a soup and something else with some appetizer.
All bases covered.
And then
here.
the last day is Nick's Pizza. I get the pizza for everybody, so we have Nick's Pizza delivered,
Okay.
and everybody gets a chance to have something there, and the staff out the rink. So it works out good.
I should have known this was all covered. You got everything down to a science here with this thing.
Kyle Hudson does a great job, the AD for Newburyport.
Yep.
He's there from 2 hours before time till 9 o'clock at night preparing stuff. He runs back and forth. He had a meeting at the high school on Monday because they're stuck in the All-Stars for boys and girls basketball.
Yeah.
They're doing some painting there and things, so he was there Tuesday. So between the both of us, he does most of the work. Then when he can't do something, I'll come up a little bit, help out. But I'm usually there the whole tournament. I enjoy it. It's fun.
I know
it's
you
cold.
Do. It is always a cold rink, the Graf, right? What do we have? So what's left on the docket here? You got some highlighted games there?
Going on right now, the Shrewsbury and the North Andover game is being played at 1.
Yeah.
And then Norwell and Haverhill is playing at 3 o'clock. Okay. Those are the consolation games of their division. There's 4 divisions, 4 teams each.
Yep.
And then at 5 o'clock tonight, the championship, Triton and Marblehead are playing.
Okay.
At 7 o'clock, it's Newburyport and Andover.
Okay, so Newburyport ends the night tonight.
I think that's what it is. I think that's a combination. I think that's pretty way it goes.
I'm sure Andover's still good. That's always a good
Andover's
hockey.
a good team. They look good, yeah. And Newburyport will play. Newburyport girls play tomorrow at 1 o'clock in their game.
Okay.
They lost Pope Francis yesterday. Pope Francis from Shrewsbury is a good team.
Okay.
One of the top teams around, and they did well. They beat them. It was 6-2, 6-3.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's been a good tournament so far. No problems. Everything's timing wise. You got 2 hours for each one.
Yeah.
Between making the ice, as long as there's no injuries. Or overtime, we kind of follow it up.
Yeah.
That takes a little more time. But we haven't had the overtime games yet.
Well, that's. So. I mean, I have seen stuff does happen over the years, right? It seems like all the teams though kind of understand that, right? There's never.
Yeah, and a lot of them, if we got to start early, we will. Can we get going a little earlier? So sometimes we might start 5-10 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
As long as the Zamboni doesn't break down, everything works good.
Yeah.
But it's been smooth and some.
You laugh.
Games.
We know that's happened there before.
Oh, it has happened. No, I've seen. We had one time a big gouge in the ice when it come down. It cut a big hole in the ice. Thank God the guy from that runs the exit rink, his son was playing for Triton. He knew he went out, cut the ice, built up, patched it up, and they were able to get on with it. So
no kidding.
I forgot what his name was, but that was great. He did that. So so far we've been fortunate, no real injuries, knock on wood. And it's some good games. We had some real good games, no troubles with the people. The fans are good. The support has been there. So it's a fun tournament.
Awesome.
It's funny how it started out too. Back 28 years ago we started. It was I was actually watching my son Scott pitch for the high school, and I was standing on the backstop watching him pitch. And Dave Kanan was the AD at the time, and Spike Sprague was the hockey coach for Newburyport.
Yep.
And I said, gee, we're thinking we'd like to have a tournament before the state tournament, a good warm-up for teams to play, doing it.
Right.
But we need a sponsor. He said, anybody wants to sponsor? I said, nobody spoke to me. So I said, well, I got a board meeting tomorrow. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
And I asked how much he wanted, and he says, okay. And I said, well, I'll see what we can do. So I went to the board on Tuesday morning, and I told him about it. And they said, do you want to do it? I said, sure, I think it'd be great. So we've been doing it ever since. And
no kidding.
Of course, the price keeps going up every year, but it's well worth it. It's a great thing. And Lloyd Ham was the president now. He's all behind it all the time. He said, don't worry about it, whatever you need.
So all 28 years it's been Newburyport Bank.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite a legacy, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's really nice. That's why I enjoy coming back for it. And they got a nice banner out there, 28th Annual Newburyport Ice Hockey Classic.
Yep.
And Kyle Hudson, the AD, just has a Velcro for the second number. He just changes the number, puts a new one up, and they would change 2 years after 3, change the 2 to a 3, and that's good for 10 years.
It's efficient.
But it goes
There
right
you go.
across the thing there. And this year, they're online tickets. And what they've done, they've really made it good. They don't charge. Senior citizens are free.
Yep.
And children under 12, I think children under 12 are free. And over that, it's not a very steep price, but because where the expenses, most of these places. When we first started, the expenses covered the referees, the ice, and pizza party afterwards for all the teams, and T-shirts for everybody.
Yeah.
Now it's got a little bit different. Ice time goes up, so it's just a little bit different. So we can increase there, but each player that plays gets a puck that says the 28th annual hockey tournament, and it says 2024 on it. So each kid gets a souvenir puck.
No kidding.
And
Cool.
I assume most of these have used it for practice. I don't know, but it's kind of.
You gave the commentators one year when I was
That's right.
calling the
Yeah,
games.
that's right.
I got myself a puck
I
back
like
at the house.
when you do those days, But it's fun. It's good. There's a little exposure. So we're doing it on the radio here and on the cable TV and.
Yep.
The radio has been live, except they got a conflict going on something tonight, so they'll just take that. I think it's tomorrow's game. They'll just do it delayed.
We're busy. We run into conflict sometimes.
And hockey, we end up showing them a couple of times, so it's kind of fun. People enjoy it. I've enjoyed it. This is going to be it, but it's fun doing it. I think I'll miss it when I'm not doing it anymore. But it's age is catching up. The eyes aren't as good as they used to be. And
All right, let's talk about that a little bit because that was a big story. I remember hearing people talk, and I hadn't actually talked to you about it, but I straight up asked you, and I booked you for the show here. So it is a retirement from a lot of this stuff. Explain where your stance is on this.
Yeah. Basically, we started doing football back in 1981. High school
Wow,
games.
1981 calling games.
And it wasn't originally to do the games.
Yeah.
We were going to have a regular sports show once a week, high school sports show, and have the various coaches come on and do a talk show. And we did that for about 4 weeks. And all of a sudden, Kathy Isbell, who was in charge of cable at the time, says, "How would you guys like to do a game?"
Yeah.
Guess not. Why not? So it was Newburyport was playing Ipswich. It was the game before Thanksgiving, 1981. So we get to the game, and we thought we were going to watch them do it. And they said, "Well, who's going to do play-by-play?" Well, Al Mojo, obviously, got the experience with me. He said, "I'll do play-by-play." I said, "I'll do color." And then Kenny Beaton and Jack Bowen did the camera. At that time, we just did one camera shoot. So they did the camera. And then the following year, Bunky Royan came in with the camera. So the 5 of us were doing it for quite a while. And it was so different. We had a big case we had to bring in for the camera work and all that stuff. About 3 cases we had to put them up on the roof. And at that time, the roof was slanted with no railing around it because no one ever did anything on top. Yeah. So after that one game, they leveled it out, put a railing around it. It was pretty good. But it was pretty hectic that first game.
A little dangerous, maybe?
Al says, "I'm staying on the ground." So he stayed next to the door to the press box. I was up on top, but actually was the director. At that time, when you turn the camera on, that activated the voice. So when Kenny turned the camera on, I said to Al, I point to Al, so he started talking. And when he stopped talking, I'd point to Kenny and shut the camera off. That was how it was then.
Old school production.
But then we did the Thanksgiving Day days, and then after that we started doing all. At that time, we covered Newburyport, Triton, Pentucket, and Amesbury.
Yep.
So that kind of broke my streak of going to all the Newburyport games because we had to alternate.
Yeah.
We're lucky. Newburyport had Friday night games most of the time when they're home, but when they're away, it was a Saturday. So we had to mix up there sometimes. Didn't do them all. Then eventually they got their own cable outfits, so we stuck with just Newburyport now.
Wow.
But it's
What was the initial reaction? Because it's new to the community, obviously. Like, people love having the football on TV.
People enjoy. In fact, people talk to me. People come and say, "Oh, you're Richie." I say, "How do you know?" So I recognize the voice. I don't know who they were, but they watched. But in the beginning, we couldn't do them live. We had to wait at least 72 hours after the game because they were afraid it might cut into the gate.
Oh, okay.
So none of the games were live.
Is that like an MIA?
No, that was just a school one.
School
because, obviously for the attendance-wise, it cuts into the expenses. That cuts down the cost of the sports, everything else. So whatever they get in attendance. So that was about maybe 10 years. Then it changed. We started doing them live, and we did all the Newburyport games. And like I say, once it was just Newburyport, we did home and away. So I didn't miss any games after that.
Wow.
We've had some tough times in the weather. The first time we felt pretty good. They let us take the cable van for the game. Newburyport against Pentucket. And so I drove the van over, and they said, "Let's go park right next to the food booth." We were parking the grass. All of a sudden it started raining. It poured the whole game.
Yeah.
And so at that time, when we did the game, we do the recap afterwards, Al and I would stand on the bench in front of this thing, and the camera would do is, well, we did that. But I did everything in a flare pen. So we're talking now about things. So now I look at the stats. All I get is a black sheet of paper. Nothing. So I had to ad lib, and it was a very quick recap. So no more time. Everything then was after in the booth.
Oh, man.
So then we get in the van to come home. I'm in the mud, the grass. The more I dug, the deeper I got. So we had to walk to the school, try to get in and make a phone call my wife to come pick us up. They had to get the tow truck and tow it out the next day.
Oh, my God.
We never got the van after that.
No way. That is hilarious.
So that was kind of funny. And the first time they gave us a banner, we were up in North Andover. They had North Andover, in Newburyport Cable. We hung it up on the wall. Somebody stole it. So we didn't get any more banners either.
Oh, man.
See, the first time we did something, we lost something every time.
Yeah, well, those are the stories,
But
right?
there was some good games. I've had fortunate enough to do Super Bowl games. I did a Super Bowl game one time at Boston College. Newburyport played Ipswich. And that was kind of a rematch. The beginning of the year, the regular season, Newburyport beat Ipswich 15-13. Mickey Whitney kicked a field goal to win the game. Then we went to the Super Bowl, and I knew it was going to be a tough game.
Yeah.
Bernie Adele played for Ipswich and went out and played at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And they killed Newburyport. He was like 45-13 or something like that.
Yeah,
We kind of expected doing revenge. So that was a tough one. But
Is that the same? Have they rebuilt the Boston College Field, or is it the same?
That was before that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was before they rebuilt it.
Yeah.
And we've done some games. A nice game against Arlington Catholic, and most of every one of the Newburyport Super Bowls we did. One game, a great time was Steve Lapper made a tackle at the 1 yard line, the last play of the game that preserved the win for Newburyport.
Wow.
So they're having a party out at the Moose afterwards for the team. Well, we brought the tape with us. We showed them the films.
Oh, no kidding.
That
That must have been exciting.
That was
huh?
really good, yeah.
That's
So
a good way to have the party.
Yeah, so we've had some good times. A lot of fun, great games, and I enjoyed a lot. Saw a lot of good football.
Yeah.
I think in all the years, Thanksgiving Day games, like I said, we only missed 2 games. One was I basically, my cameraman called me up the night before Thanksgiving and said, I can't do the game. I said, what? He said, no, my sister's sick and she was supposed to do the dinner, so I got to do the dinner.
Oh, wow.
So he says, I got to start preparing. So we couldn't do that game.
Yeah.
Newburyport lost that one. And then about 5 years ago, they had snow the day before. They couldn't get the Amesbury Field shoveled off in time.
Yeah.
And so they played on a Saturday, and I had another commitment, so I couldn't do that.
I remember
Those are the only
that.
2 Thanksgiving games I missed since 1953.
I remember that.
On
Yeah.
cable we did them.
So you end up doing so that the success of football probably made you say, let's do some hockey too.
We did basketball, hockey, we did baseball, softball. We did a track meet.
Yeah.
My cameraman said, that's it. He was doing covering the shot put. No, he's covering the long jump.
Yep.
Next thing, he has a thump right next to the shot put. Was right next to it. Almost hit him.
Oh, man.
Then he was doing another thing, and the javelin went over his head. He said, no, we're not going to do any more track meets. So we did it. We actually did from the stands.
Yeah.
But we actually tried to go on the field and do it. Tennis was the hardest thing to do because you had 3 matches going on at once.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was no scoreboard. So we tried one. That didn't work too good.
Right.
I remember when we did our first soccer game, I had to go talk to the referees and find out what the signals were because I didn't know anything about soccer.
Yeah.
And but we got through that one. I lucked out when we did field hockey because Win Damon, his daughter played for Newburyport, so I got Win to do the play-by-play, and I did the color.
Right,
so
right.
that worked out good.
Yeah.
And then Steve Malenfant helped us out. We did lacrosse. Steve Malenfant did the game, so he knew about lacrosse. So we covered all the sports.
Getting by with a little help from your friends there.
Definitely, yeah. We had some great cameramen over the year, and thank God for the camera people because I've been doing it for 3 years. I still know how to hook everything up. I just do the talking. That's all I have to do.
Yeah,
but it's a lot of fun.
It's like this
see a
show.
lot
I
of
do all the
sports.
talking. It's the
And
easy
I have
part.
problems sometimes. I end up calling the kids by their father's name, vice versa. That's been a little hassle there.
That's it's an endearing mistake, though,
That's
isn't
a
it?
good one. Yeah, I think the parents like that too.
Yeah.
But when the year of COVID, when we didn't do any games, I ended up sitting. I went to the games, and I'm sitting over in the across the press box, the high school stadium. Somebody says, "How come you're not in the booth?" I said, "Oh, I can't do them this year." Oh, it was Newburyport had the new system where you couldn't televise a game going on when they're doing their system.
Okay.
Well, eventually it worked out. You can't do them live, but we
Gotcha.
can tape them. So
Yep.
that 1 year we missed it. So I watched all the games. And they gee, we miss you. You should be up in the booth.
Yeah.
So I miss it too. So I didn't miss. I missed football, but we did do basketball and hockey. Now I get the point where it was just football, and I think it's time. Like I say, it's slipping a little bit. The eyes aren't as good as they used to be in some of the new fancy uniforms. The colors blend in, so it's hard to read the numbers.
Yeah, they annoy me too sometimes,
But
too.
I've enjoyed every bit of it. It's been a fun doing, and I'll miss it. And not to say I won't be doing it. There might be a time when somebody can't do it, and I'll do it in a pinch. But the fun thing is, my son Pat's been doing the games with me.
Nice.
And he was a little disappointed when it came down to Thanksgiving because because of the Thanksgiving being the 100th game, we did it with Amesbury Cable, a joint effort. So they said if we want Pat maybe do some sideline interview or something, but he said, no, that's all right, never mind. And I didn't realize how disappointed he was. He wasn't going to be able to do the game with me.
Oh, wow.
So that's what we worked out to do the hockey games. Because we've been doing the hockey games as well. I'll do 4 more hockey games. And Sarah was great. She said, let's do them there. So I was able to do the hockey games with him.
So you guys have had a good little
Finish that.
father-son relationship
it's
built
kinda
out of it,
nice.
too, huh?
Yeah, I've enjoyed that, doing that with him. But just to get a chance to see the games, when you're committed to do the game, you're going to be there. Sometimes it's kind of cold. Maybe I'll stay home and listen to the radio or what, But I really look forward to it. And now I'll still go even though I'm not doing it. And I may end up doing some, but I just figured to give Sarah enough notice that, age is catching up.
Yeah, Sarah Hayden, our boss here, making a lot of that happen. We appreciate that as always. There is something very unique about the high school sports atmosphere, right? There's nothing kind of like it.
It's great, the fans, and just to see the kids, the excitement of when they're doing well. And I can remember when Jimmy Clay, who's now the basketball coach of St. John's Prep, he was coach at Newburyport prior to that. When he was 7 years old, him and my son Pat, they would go around with the raffle tickets for the booster club. Would have a 50-50 raffle at the hockey games, and they go around with a sign with the winning numbers. Jim back there 6 and 7. Now he's coaching basketball. So how time's developed over these years.
But is Jimmy Dave's son?
Dave Clay and Jimmy Clay brothers. Dave is the one. I'm sorry. Jimmy is. I see. Dave is the one.
Because I know Dave. I was just making sure I get my Clay straight.
I coached Jimmy in baseball.
Okay.
And he actually turned to be a pretty good golfer. I think he's working a golf course. It was out on the West Coast. I think he may be down the Cape now. I don't know if he's the pro there or whatever. But I saw him this summer at the golf tournament. So, Dave Clay is the one. I should Dave, But Dave was the coach, but him and Patrick would go around with the sign, hey, But those are good things. You see the little kids get involved, and a lot of times before the game, when we get out there at the hockey rink, they get the little kids out there skating ahead of time with the little baskets, help them along, walking along the carts. That's kind of good. That would be me.
No doubt.
Never get into hockey.
It's funny. So you've ended up becoming well versed in all these sports here over the years, whether you wanted to or not, or had to learn along the way or not.
It was fun. Though. You learn something else, and because sports. I remember when I was a kid, I always grabbed the sports page. My father said to me one day, he said, Rich, there's more than sports. He said, why don't you read the front page once in a while? And from that time on, I was about 10 years old, I always read sports. Are the last thing I read. I go through the paper, read everything, take the puzzles, put them aside. I do the sports, and I'll do the puzzles afterwards.
There you go.
But I got into that habit. But he said, there's more than just sports, because sports was everything to me. And I was lucky to grow up with Ted Williams and everything else. So
you go through the rest of the paper and earn it now. Again, Richie Eaton joining us here. Speaking of the sports pages, we should give a little hope Dan Shaughnessy's doing okay. Yes. We saw that was big news this week that he had some heart surgery to undergo, so we know he's recovering.
Be okay.
And he's been on this show, and he's been a fun guest for us. And nobody writes and challenges coaches like that guy.
That's for sure. You know. But I guess the Globe said they'll be updating people when he's ready to start doing some stories again. But it sounds like he's home recovering, and hopefully everything works well for Dan. He's a lot of fun.
Now people are probably noticing your nice tan here that you have, because
a little bit of a tan.
Because you come down for the tournament, for the Newburyport Bank Ice Hockey Tournament. You come back up for that after you go down to Florida for most of the winter, I guess.
It's about 4 months now. It used to be 1 month, 2 months. It keeps adding up, so it's 4 now. We go down January 1st. We're back in May.
Okay.
But I always come back for the tournament. And then I'll go back down and play some golf. And like I said, only played once so far this year. The weather hasn't been that great down here, but it's much better than it was here. And we lucked out here. At least that big snowstorm with the rain got rid of it all. Yeah. So, and I'm lucky here. I'll be able to get out Thursday with no.
A lot of Red Sox spring training games on your schedule here.
I've got season tickets for the home games, and I got the 3 games they play at Minnesota Park. So I'll see probably 20 or 21 games altogether.
Do you get to bump into Dan from time to time?
I've seen him with Mike Lynch, because Mike probably won't be here this year either. But I've always talked to Mike. It was funny, an incident with Mike. He was at our hockey tournament watching the game, because Marblehead was playing, and his nephew was the goalie.
Just
for
the other day?
No, this was about 7-8 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And he was here at the game, and his nephew was the goalie for Marblehead. Well, he ended up, Mike was here for the semifinals, but then he had to go back to start down to spring training. So I ran into him 2 days afterwards, and I says to him, in the elevator, my wife steps and she says, "That's Mike Lynch." I said, "I know, hon, I know." So I get talking to him. I says, "By the way, your nephew's team won the tournament." So I didn't get a check. I didn't know he did. I said, and he was the MVP. Well, that's great. I said, he's the goalie, and he dropped the trophy and smashed it on the
No way, did he?
He said, that figures. That sounds like him.
Oh,
so we
man.
got a new trophy. We gave him a new trophy and everything else. But he was there at the game, and he got a chance to talk with Jim Stalin. He knew Jim pretty well. I guess his father and Jim knew each other well, so it was kind of nice to do that. So Mike caught up with Jim, with Jim Stalin, and they talked. And so I had a good chat with Mike. And I usually run into Mike during the Sean Perkins tournament, golf tournament. We usually get a chance to chat there, because this year we wouldn't be able to be there. But hopefully he'll be back again. He seemed to be doing better. Him and LaBelle got that little talk thing together. He actually, I saw Mike Lynch at the Radio Broadcasters Hall of Fame this year. He showed up and he got up there and did the speech, and he was hilarious. You know him. He just, him and LaBelle both like to make, they can make light of themselves. And they said, we're going to have a race later after the show. It's funny. I talked to Mike right after when Mark during the golf tournament. It was the year after COVID, when they didn't have no games, so they didn't have the Thanksgiving Day special.
Yep.
Well, so, but at least the camera, they win a business, but they did the show. And I said, you know, Mike, I thought you were going to do something like you did when the first year that the Bruins and the Celtics didn't get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You went to the Boston Garden, and they played the Sounds of Silence.
Yeah.
And I said, I thought with that Thanksgiving Day, because there was no game, you know, they weren't able to cover the games, you might have the sound. He said, I wish I thought it. He said, I would have.
Yeah.
But and it was right after they did a nice.
You mean like the Simon and Garfunkel?
Simon and Garfunkel, yeah. They played the Sound of Silence because there's nothing in the gym. You know, the Boston Garden was empty because both teams didn't qualify that year.
Okay.
And so I thought with the Thanksgiving Day, I thought you might have rejuvenated that. He said, if I thought of it, Richie, I said, I would have.
You should be a producer.
But it just seemed like a thing to do. But it's so nice. He's had a new Brook Clipper sweatshirt on at different times. People send him the sweatshirts.
Yeah.
And he wears a different sweatshirt to the team that changes after each commercial. And
he
did so much for youth sports when he was involved. You know, the high five and everything else.
Oh yeah,
really
so
promotes
good.
it. It's great.
It is great. I think you probably remember the game. He told the story about when he kicked the extra point through the house.
Right through the window. Yes.
And he actually said he wrote a letter to Coach Stalin apologizing because it was a dare in the huddle. You know, I bet you can't kick it
but
through.
you got that from Charlie Cullum.
Okay, is that right?
I bet Charlie told you that story. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I talked with Charlie about that. But
Yeah.
I remember when Richie.
Well, we had Mike on too. Mike's been nice enough to come in
good?
here.
Oh,
yeah, actually, he used to do right around Thanksgiving. I tried to
that'd be
sneak
a
him
time
in.
to do it, yeah.
There's a few of the familiar characters that would slip in here, and actually, Coach Stalin was. I actually missed. I mean, as you would imagine, I really missed having Coach Stalin. May he rest in
what
peace.
A class gentleman.
I would call him every week or two before Thanksgiving and just say, "Hey, you up for it?" And without. Just always a yes, and just what time you want me, and you'll always be here. And just the stories were just amazing. I really miss not
I got a
having
good
him.
story for you. When we did our sports show with the coaches, when Jim came on, he brought out all the equipment the players wear. He said, "Want to let people know the safety involved." He brought everything, the pads, even the jock straps and things like that, the supporters, the everything. Here's all the equipment, so these kids are well prepared. They're covered and everything else. Explained what they use, the pads, everything else. Went through the whole situation with. But we always set up as a locker room.
Yeah.
So he was in the locker room chat and everything. But he did all the stuff and described it real good. But I got an interesting story, too. Jim was telling me about this one time. He was good friends with Ernie Adams,
The Patriots.
Patriots.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he always got invited down to practice. Well, he told me when Belichick, obviously Belichick was coaching then, and Tom Brady's first year. Mm-hmm. And Jim was saying, he watched Brady, and about after 5 minutes, he said to Adams, he says, that number, whatever he was wearing, he wasn't wearing his regular number 12.
Yeah.
He says, he's a keeper. That's all he said after
Really?
5 minutes of watching him. So the following year, he was back at practice again, and Belichick came over and started talking with Ernie and Jim, and he called Brady over. And he said, I just want to introduce to Jim, who was an All-American in high school, and a junior, in college, was a junior All-American, whatever division he was in.
Yeah.
And he said, he told us that you look good out there. He said, keep an eye on this guy. He's going to be good.
Wow.
So, Jim could spot him. As a
Eye for
quarterback.
talent, huh?
Yeah, it was great, but interesting story. But he was just a class gentleman. Every time I think of Jim, I think of class.
Yeah,
and that's him.
No doubt.
A tough loss.
I remember even in those final. I mean, he passed away. He ended up being 90 or.
He might. Yeah, I think he just hit 90.
Just hit 90, right?
Because Jack Welch hit 90. And they were good. They both were going up for the job for Newburyport at the time.
Yep.
And they became good friends. And I knew Jack, and Jack was telling me that he saw Jim, and he went to the party when they had the party for Jim. I think he just turned 90.
Okay, Scott. So I got to know him. He was already in his 80s when I got to know him, and but I almost all the way until the end, even that last year. I mean, maybe slowed down a little bit, but when I'm telling you, like he would remember things, like numbers, plays, everything.
And he loved sending handwritten notes to people.
Yeah.
When I retired from the bank, a nice congratulatory note. Congratulations on your retirement.
Oh, that's very nice.
And so that's like I say, just. You don't see many like that, and he was a class gentleman, and I enjoyed all the times talking with him and everything else.
Yeah.
In fact, when he first became coach, it was between Jack Welch. It was a tough decision, because you got a local guy, but it worked out good for both of them. And then Jack got on, had a great career in Ipswich.
Yeah.
So it worked out really good.
Yeah, I mean, what a run. Yeah, may he rest in peace. I hope the family's doing well. I know it's a big Stalin family, and I know they remember Jim fondly, of course.
I've seen his wife a couple of times, and Kevin's on the Wall of Fame committee with me, so we get together when we have our quality meetings. See Kevin there.
Yep.
They're doing good, but it was tough.
Still must be proud seeing that field. Have that name up
Stalin
there,
Field, yeah.
That's what an honor, right?
Yeah. That's good.
I talked to I know Ray Bork a bit, and he's got one, and that they just I think they rebuilt it in Quebec or just outside Montreal. I forget where it is. And I'm thinking that's probably not that big of a deal to him. He's got one in Beverly. They can name rinks after these great players, but it still does mean a lot to these guys. It's like the impact on those communities, and I don't know. I just sometimes I think maybe they're just too big and it doesn't matter, but no,
it means something. It sure does. Just the other night when Marchand celebrated his 1,000th game.
Yeah.
And nice to see him on. I remember when Johnny Busick did. I think he wheeled out 1,000 silver dollars or something on a wheelbarrow for him or something like that.
Right.
But
He's turned into quite a player, man, hasn't he, Brad Marchand? He went from kind of being what they used to call him, the rat or something.
it was somebody else called him that too, but
Yeah.
But he always get a scraps. In fact, he got in a fight that game too.
Yeah.
First time in a long time. I guess he figured might as well celebrate my 1,000th the right way. But he's done a good job as a leader for the team.
Yeah.
Bruins have been a good year. The thing they signed him overtimes when they've tried. They won yesterday in overtime, but they've lost a lot of overtime games or give a goal up in the last minute or so.
I'm trying not to get too excited after last year. It's a very balanced approach. Let's get to the postseason and peak at the right time.
Well, at least we got the Celtics and Bruins up here right now. They're doing good. And the Patriots have slipped and the Red Sox have slipped. So.
All right, so the Red Sox. Let's talk a little bit about that because you're going to be in Fort Myers. Can you feel? I'll say it politely. Is there a slight lack of buzz right now?
I was going to say the excitement isn't there like it was.
Yeah.
I know they had the meeting with the media in Boston. The fans, they always have bashed. Last year they booed. I guess they didn't want too much. The Kennedy and the Red Sox people were there, and they didn't have to say too much about it. But they're not spending any money.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I mean, they've got money available, and it's too bad because.
And they told you they were going to too.
Yeah, I know, and it doesn't make sense. I feel bad for Cora because he's a pretty good manager, but you got to have the bodies to do it.
Right.
And when they lost Turner, very disappointed at that. He wanted to stay here.
Yep.
He said they wouldn't want to talk.
Yeah.
And same thing on when Bogarts got released. Basically, they said, "Oh, yeah, we're really talking to him." But the story came out and said they told me play second base the first year, you'll be a shortstop the second year.
Yeah.
So they had no intention of signing Bogarts.
Right.
That's the thing that disappointed me there. At least it doesn't think they had any intention. Obviously, if they told him he's going to play short, I see Bogarts is going to go second base this year.
I heard that. Yeah. I'm still, and then Mookie before that. Like for me, I know they would have been able to survive that if they did other things along the way too. But for me, that's like the first sign of like that's the kind of guy you just never trade away. Yeah. Generational player who wants to be here, does everything right, gives turkeys away on Thanksgiving. Like what else could you ask of a guy?
The only thing I wonder on that one, how much Mookie wanted to be here.
But he said he would have.
He said he wanted to.
Yeah.
But I guess there was some question mark.
Maybe.
But I liked him, and now I see he's going to play second base this year.
See, it's crazy. Everybody's going
second base. Yeah.
Yeah. The Dodgers, an embarrassment of riches.
Yes, when he started, he was like second base with shortstop. Then he went to the outfield.
Yeah.
Then he ended up back at first base. But these guys, I guess they're good enough to play the majors. They can play more than one position. But be interested seeing Bogarts going to second base too.
Well, I mean, I keep hearing these things about boycotting Fenway and stuff, and it's just never going to happen. I mean, that's what people do around here. They want to go to baseball games in the summertime.
It's a funny thing about the spring training. We were at the game last night, and the girls' game were playing, and they played the music, and all of a sudden playing Sweet Caroline. So it must be the bottom of the eighth. Joked about that. But it's amazing out of spring training. I don't care if it's a close game or a game that's run away. People will stay. As soon as the Sweet Carolines play the bottom, they leave. Yeah. But some people want to just stick around for the song.
I've seen that at Fenway a little bit,
and the
too.
ushers are up there getting her to sing the song. After a while, it gets contagious.
No, I'm done. I'm on record. I'm being done with that. I cannot be down 12 runs in the eighth inning and standing up singing Sweet Caroline. I'm sorry.
I've read in the paper the Sox may not be doing it because they don't want to pay the franchise rights for the song.
No way.
There was some talk they were thinking about stopping it this year. I don't know if they're going to happen or not. I don't know if they'll do. But it's just a thing. It is. Doesn't bother me.
It's more for the tour. It doesn't bother me either. I joke about it, but I do not like. You're down 12 runs. It's like we're up here singing. Come on.
When you're winning, it's a good thing to put on.
Sure. I actually asked I had the Red Sox. He retired a few years ago or stopped. He's a young man, but I had the DJ on. He was a DJ for like 20 years. DJ TJ, I think was his name. But anyways, I asked him, have you guys ever sat down and had a conversation with ownership or whatever about getting rid of Sweet Caroline? He said, a matter of fact, we have. And it was a very quickly resolved, no, we're keeping it.
Do you know when they had the bombing during the April marathon?
Yeah.
Well, the Red Sox had a tribute to that, and Barry Manilow, who sings the song.
Neil Diamond.
Neil Diamond. Diamond.
Yeah.
He actually paid his own way, came and sang the song live on the field for that game.
Yes.
Saturday.
I was at that game.
I was there too.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just before Ortiz spoke.
It sounded strange in the place because it had or at least where I was under the home plate roof. And he was in right field, so you kind of get the sound that bounces sometimes.
I was out there at a concert when he did at Fenway one time too, and it was a rainy night because they had him sing the song 3 times.
Yeah.
And I read in the paper he went to Philadelphia that following Monday night to do a concert.
Yep.
And he was hoarse, and he did the whole show. And after he says, "All right, I want to refund all your money now." He said, "I'm not singing as good as I was."
Oh wow!
But I was at Boston, had me sing 3 times the song in the rain, and he says, "I don't think I was that top performer, so everybody just turn your stop, and we're going to refund your money for the show."
Wow, no kidding.
But he
That's a
paid
nice
his own way
gesture.
to come down and do the thing. And the reason I get it mixed because my wife, she loves Neil Diamond and Barry Manilow. I'll hear the song. Even now, we still got him on the car.
I like Neil Diamond. I'm not a huge fan of that
Yeah.
song. I think it's, whatever. Maybe a little played out for me, but I like Neil Diamond. Yeah, nothing against Neil, but,
But it's anyway.
Anyway, all right. So Richie Eaton again, final couple minutes with you. He's going to head back. He's heading right back to the hockey rink, believe it or not, because he doesn't miss many of these games, right? And I know you get a lot of action to call. And so the 3:00 game? Are you on the
3
PA?
o'clock, I'll be doing the PA for that one.
Okay.
And
You like visitors? Should people come and say hello? Or
we have some come in. Yeah, some do. The people I know and others say, "Oh, you're back from Florida." Then they realize I'm back for this. When they usually say, "When you going back?"
yeah.
But it's fun. I had, in fact, yesterday I had a guy. Usually once a year we go out to breakfast. I used to be a customer of the banks, and we always get out. And he said to me, "When you come back from Florida, make sure we go out to eat." So
there you go.
He's fine. His place from Pentucket.
Family's doing well?
Yes, doing well. Yep, the kids are doing well. My wife is doing good. Knock on wood. Everybody seems to be doing okay.
All right, and you're not ruling out some guest appearances in the future years to call some games?
Glad to do it. Hey, glad to do it, and fun doing this because you and I we love to talk sports. And,
Yeah, no doubt. That's where I think I met you at the hockey rink. If I had to guess,
we were doing
back in the day.
MVP, and when I was doing the cable. Yeah,
When they used to have the crow's nest up there.
I like that.
I miss that.
We do it in the stands now. It's not bad except for the Newburyport boys games.
Yeah.
Because the good student body support.
Yeah.
But they all stand during the game. I can't see.
Yeah,
from that
yeah.
spot, but it's the only place you can really see it. You can't do it behind the nets now because behind the goals because the screening is there, the nets, and it gets too hard to see it through there.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so, but we manage.
They give you, hopefully, if you get the right student section, they give you a little room, right?
Not much, but what they do, we put out now. We put cones out there now.
Yes,
so we've got a little bit of break, but as long as they're supporting your team, I don't get too upset. But I can put up with that. I like to see the support.
I knew that would be your answer. It is. There's nothing like, and then the Newburyport student sections have always been great.
It's been
for
good.
these games.
I can remember when we first started doing hockey, they used to throw fish on the ice.
Yep, I remember that.
UNH bet,
Yeah.
But they did that for quite a while, and they finally stopped that. But the support has been good, and again, I can't say enough about Kyle Hudson, the AD. The work he does in this tournament to make sure it runs smooth. And he's just there way early and stays the whole time. It's a long haul.
When you get back to Florida after this tournament, do you kind of like take a deep breath and go, "That's a pretty impressive thing"?
Oh, I don't think it was impressive. Just glad it got done. I never thought it would be.
They're tired.
But it's good to get back in the warm weather because it gets cold on that ice. But no, I just glad we can do it. I never thought 28 years of doing it. It's been a good tournament. The Globe has recognized it as one of the top tournaments at different times. We've had different teams in it, but now by the way, it's 3 boys divisions and 1 girls division.
Yep. Cities from all over.
Oh yeah, we had 2 teams from Shrewsbury. Both they're boys and girls.
Yeah.
Pope Francis from Springfield.
Yep.
And Canton used to come for about the first 14 years, then he had a new coach, and he didn't worry about the commitment to the tournament.
Yeah.
So he switched, but now Newburyport and Canton played each year, alternating years. So even though it's not the tournament, but
it started a rivalry.
I remember the very first game we played. It was Waltham was the team, and the kid for Waltham was the captain. He was a defenseman, but they had an honorary puck drop, the ceremonial drop. So I was out there for that. He's 6'8". And he's on skates. He looked a lot taller. Ended up playing 12 years for the Giants. Ron Stone played the offensive line for the New York Giants.
No kidding.
And he was the captain of the hockey team.
Wow.
And I looked up and he looked like a giant. Here I am out there to drop the puck. Don't check me.
I did a couple Newburyport hockey games this year. They got a good team.
Yeah.
I know Coach Eaton is cautiously, you're never going to get too much out of him, but he's proceeding with caution. He likes this group.
They play a tough non-league game. In fact, now they're Division II this year.
Yeah.
But they play a lot of Division I teams. They've had some good ones. They lost a tough one to St. John's 6-2, but that was the last period. St. John's went well, but St. John's the top team. But they don't shy away from the teams. And some of the Cape Ann leagues, some of the teams are weaker. I think Essex coming into the Cape Ann league is going to be a big plus. They had a pretty good hockey tradition, and so that's going to be a good team in there. So it's fun. But it's nice to see them play the competitor. Even the girls have had a tough year this year, but they still play the top teams too.
Yep.
So I have to Pope Francis come down. That's a long haul. Come down from Springfield to do 2 games, and they do it. It's kind of nice. It says well for the tournament. I think the people recognize it. And Kyle, we got a waiting list of teams that want to come in.
Yeah.
What usually happens is you'll ask the team that played, do you want to come back next year? And they usually say yes, so we get the commitment. But sometimes when a new coach comes, he may have some relations with someone else, and they may back out. And then they want to get back in. It's too hard. We've got to go back at the end of the line.
Yeah.
But we haven't had trouble getting the teams. When we added the 4th division with the girls, we started originally just 3 divisions. Yeah. With the 4 divisions that added an extra day to it. And
wow.
But it's been great, and it's well received. Attendance-wise, depending on, it's tough to get Springfield and Worcester to come out with their attendance at times, especially during the week, But the attendance has been good, and I think people enjoy it. The hockey games are good, and now the addition of fact with senior citizens have to pay makes it easier for some, because some of the regulars that follow the Newburyport games, they'll be out all day long watching the games.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
It's
fun. I enjoy it, and I'll be coming back for that.
and a great test for the state tournament, which I can't believe we're already here, and it always makes me think of spring when
That's right.
we
Get ready
start.
for baseball. But I know the pairings are supposed to come out this weekend.
Yep.
And so we should hear now what they're going to do. But I think a lot of the area teams, both Newburyport boys and girls, are qualified. I know the girls won the state track championship.
Yep.
Newburyport the last 3 years have been excellent. I think they led it was a Dalton Award or whatever it is with the Globe for 2 years in a row, and they were leading this year too.
Yeah.
That's the overall record, boys and girls, for the entire school season.
Good time to be a Newburyport athlete.
It is.
Right?
It is. Yeah.
And good time to be a hockey fan. Because Richie Eaton going to head back over to the tournament. Enjoy the final 36 hours or so of Newburyport Bank ice hockey tournament action here. Huh?
Thank you, Drew.
Have fun, and thank you for all you do for it.
Here.
It's a great tournament. I've always loved it. I loved calling it. I loved watching the games, and it's always a great take at the end of the hockey season. So, thanks for joining us, man. It's been great to see you.
Good to see you again.
Always a
Thanks,
pleasure.
Colin. I'm only a phone call away. I remember one time I was going into the ballpark and you called me. We did an interview at spring training.
That's right. I do remember that.
And then I didn't realize you were going to put on BZ afterwards. Somebody said they heard me on BZ. No. I said Newburyport. No, it was on BZ. Oh, I didn't know that.
Keep you on your toes, right?
At least we said all right.
Richie Eaton, there you go, the one and only. Thank you to our crew, May Power, Sarah Hayden, Ryan Rothberg, I think is here, Maya Gassman, our small but mighty crew, as always. We appreciate you all very much. We'll see you next time live at Drew's house. Thank you, Richie. Peace.